And I'm sure there are people, very senior people, and there are very people who have just been into sales for few years or few months. And it is absolutely a very, very challenging situation. Yes, for each one of us, not just only sales, but overall the business community, for personal life, whatever we have been facing for the last 6-7 months. So it is challenging, yes. But if we look at it, look at the challenges, look at the situation, I would say it is a learning for all of us. It is like saying, see, till today we have been using that quote, that how to look at a glass of water. Whether would you make a statement that the glass is half empty, or would you make a statement that glass is half full? By the statement that you make, it shows your level of positivity that you have. Now, on the other side, in any given situation, how you take up that situation as positive, that is what the quote used to be. Like when we used to talk to our juniors, or when we used to talk to our friends, or we have been hearing this from our seniors in office or in personal life, always try and look at the glass as half full, not as half empty. So bringing that quote into real life situation, this is exactly what it is. Let us look at this situation that we are in as glass half full. Why am I saying this? I'm sure you would all agree that your way of life for the last 6 months has totally changed. Now, that total change has happened in every aspect of each one of us' life. In whatever stream we might be, in whatever area we might be, whosoever it might be, whether we are in business, whether we are in service, whether we are trading in stocks or shares, whatever. Each and every person in the society is affected. And we have been forced to look into the various ways that we can cope up with the situation, and we have done fairly well. For the last 6 months, we have done fairly well. So before I get into sharing with you guys what I have been sharing with other sales team and community, I just wanted to share one small philosophy from a very small insect that we see on a regular basis in our life. That insect is ant. They are, I know, I'm sure you all would have seen the ant or the colony of ants, the way they would walk, the way they would have a file and they would go and search. You would never see many a times a single ant moving out. So let us see what is the philosophy that they have in life. It's very interesting. You see, here they have 4 philosophies. The first philosophy is they say, I would never quit. Now, by that, what is it? If they are headed somewhere, what you do is, many times in childhood, if you remember, or if you want to check it, you can do it now as well. If you see a file of ants going some direction, put one obstacle in front of them. Either they will cross the obstacle, they will climb the obstacle and cross it, or they will take either direction of the obstacle, and they will move forward. But they would, till the time you either you squash them or squish them, they would not change the direction, in the sense that if they're going east, they will move towards the east. They are going west, they will move towards the west, whatever direction. But only they would try and circumvent the obstacle. So they keep looking for another way. They don't quit. So the lesson is to never quit looking for a way to get where you are supposed to go. The second philosophy is ants think winter all summer. Now, what happens during the winter? They dive back into their cell, into their dugout, and they stay there the whole winter. If they stay there the whole winter, how do they survive? During the summer, that is what you see, that when you see the file and then they come back, they carry some grain, some food material, something or the other. Each one of them are carrying back to their hole, to their cell, to their dugout. So they keep thinking that winter is going to come. I need to be prepared, or my community, because they are community workers. I need to accumulate my food for that winter session where I'm unable to go out. So I would accumulate. And they keep on accumulating for the winter during the summertime. So the lesson is, it is important to be realistic and think ahead. Now, realistic is they are, of course, having a food daily, but they're also saving for the winter time. What's the third philosophy? Ants think summer all winter. Just imagine. So when in the winter they are in the dugout, they always are so positive. Okay, this is a small time, small period. Summer is on its way. We have accumulated enough food for ourselves to last that particular period of the winter. Very interesting. Meaning, the lesson is staying positive at all times. What is the fourth one? Fourth one is simple, all that you possibly can. See, each one of us has our own capacity, which we have identified or we need to identify. We are capable of picking up as per our strengths of the arm, picking up any weight or anything. Similarly, we need to identify our skill set. We need to identify our limits. Within that limits, within that skill set, I need to look at how much can I optimize. So put in your 100%, get the things done. So that is what the ants do. You would see in that file rank that you see in the ant, some would be carrying the different sizes. Each one of them would have been carrying different sizes of grain material, of food material. It's as per their capacity. And they would run and do it as many rounds they can possibly do it. So it is all that you possibly can. So to summarize it, the four philosophies are: never give up, look ahead, stay positive, and do all you can. Now, why did I share this? This is the thought process that I wanted to trigger in all of you while we move forward and see how are we going to face these challenges, how we should go about facing the challenges and take it up as our own responsibility not to give up. and staying positive. Okay, so let me come to the here. So what was happening in the month of January? So to come back to this post-COVID challenges in sales, what was happening in January? In January this year, first quarter, what did we see? This was the scenario. We would go across to the customer, or we would have an appointment fixed. We meet up with them. We share with them our product line, our deliverables. We would negotiate, whatever. The whole selling process would happen sitting across the table. And of course, there was some items, some product line, which was being sold online. So both of these existed. One is face-to-face, across the table, and of course, online. You would have, and many of you, I'm sure, would be doing purchasing your items, or whatever items you wanted on Amazon, like, or Flipkart, or Big Basket, whatnot. So both of this scenario existed, right? Each one of this scenario has its own advantages and as well as disadvantages. Here in this face-to-face one, your planning was very, very important, meaning you had to plan for the travel time. You had to plan your day accordingly. How many customers would you be covering? Because you have to travel. Because you have to go and sit in the customer's place, might be that you have to wait there. So all those time management was prime in your daily planning. Of course, the other plans were there in terms of what is it that you're going to speak, or what is it that you have found out at the customer place? What exactly is the need or the stimuli that the customer would be triggered with in your product or services? Of course, those are there. But primarily what I'm getting at is, there in your daily planning, this travel, this wait time, this interaction time was the prime portion of your planning, daily planning. On the other hand, it was just your own decision. You would scroll. The seller had got nothing to do here. Like you, the seller, had got nothing to do here. It is all listed there. The customer would come in, check out, check the feedbacks, check the star ratings, and then go ahead and purchase as per their own requirement, as per their own decision, as per their own judgment as to which is going to fit them right. So both the things existed. Now what happened was, from April, May, since the lockdown, since the aggravation of the pandemic, this is what the scenario. Now, instead of, if you look at the picture on your left, instead of sitting across the table, what are you doing? You are across the camera. Like presently, what I am doing with you guys. Now, with this, the only platform that has changed is, instead of face-to-face, it has come to the table. Table is there. Instead of chair and the person on the other side, you are speaking with the camera, and the screen, you are seeing the other person. This is a huge challenge. a shift. How do I go about it? What should I speak? Because I'm not used to it. Yet the other one, of course, is still existing and would remain. Now we know that this is the new normal that we are into. Might be another 12 months down the lane. You don't know. We are not sure, depending on the various vaccines that they're talking about, the various medicines that they're talking about. We don't know when it is going to be the same way like we used to do in January, February, that we have done the last, meeting the customers face to face. Yet, it is no more the scenario like it was in May, June, where it was absolutely locked down. Here, we are going to the customers. There are certain product lines where we are going to the customers, but we are taking adequate measures. We are taking adequate precautions. That is what it is there. But overall, if we have to look into it, what is it that we need to do to get ourselves into this stream? Excuse me if I would request people to mute. Swaminathan, if you can mute your audio. Yeah. So coming back to this. So the challenges are most of the time now, and more again, the cycle has come back. It is peaking in India. The number of coming back, Ramesh might have muted me as well. Okay, coming back to this. Now, if you look at it, we have another peak that has started in this month. The numbers are rising and people are saying more and more numbers would come up on a daily basis. So at times, again, might be that lockdown would come in, similar like the month of April, March. So the challenges that broadly that we look at is staying at home, charting a new work-life balance, managing house chores along with the work plan, and searching and creating earning opportunities. Now, here, for many of us, it is very difficult to come to terms with that. If I'm unable to go and meet up with the customer, if I'm unable to go and give the demo of my products, how would the customer decide? I'll just give you an example. I have been speaking with various business verticals, wherein I have had a chance to train them, had a chance to conduct workshop with these guys. The verticals are right from chemicals in terms of Nalco, Ecolab, right from tiles, real estate, where the furnitures, tiles, right from office automation, had been in terms of education, in terms of Bangalore, there's this EI, and very many. Now, insurance for that matter. So I have been speaking with each one of them to understand how these verticals, how these people have been, going about planning. So one of those guys from the insurance says, and one thing that is common was that they all believed in one thing, which is in India, the selling that happens The business that happens, 60 to 70% is on references. 60 to 70% is reference or referral. So each one of them had to say, sir, what I did was I went back to my diary, to my laptop. Very many people, somebody had laptop. Most of them, they have it now because it is given to them. Or many of them had their diaries. Many of them went back to the file and made a list of very close customers. When I say close, it means that the people who have been giving them a repeat business. And not just only repeat business, whom they are very, very comfortable with both ways. The customer is comfortable with him or her, or he or she is comfortable with the customer. One lady from Mumbai stated, but sir, what I did was I took out a list, spoke with all those. I said, okay, when you say took out the list, out of your customer base, I'm not going to ask you in details, how many of these customers that would make the list that you prepared? She said, honestly, sir, it was only 12. I said, okay, so what did you do next? She said, okay, what I did was I started giving them call, asking them of their well-being, not talking to them about any business. Now, I'll leave it at here and just go through those points that we have concerns with. Just keep this in mind. What did she say? I called them up just to inquire about their well-being. I said, each one of them picked up the phone. He said, yes, each one of them picked up the phone. I said, then I'll come to it. So let us understand, these are the concerns. Do you all agree with this or not? How do I build or maintain a relationship now? How do I keep my clients engaged? Do I need to acquire new skills for this? Can I really learn new things so late in my career? Because we are there in the sales community with a varied age group, varied experience. In your presence here, the participants, I'm sure some of you would be 4, 5, or 3 or 2 years of experience, and some of you would be 30, 25, 30 years of experience. So can I really learn new things so late in the career? Can I maintain or grow my earnings? Obviously, for any salesperson, that is the prime concern. So, looking at these concerns, something comes to mind. I would like to take a quick poll, I'll ask 2 questions, one by one, and you need to answer only in alphabets that I state in the chat box. Okay? Let's do it this way. The first question to you, when I state the question, you answer in the chat box either yes or no. Okay? I hope everybody is understood. Okay. And Ramesh, you would just let me know. I'm not opening the chat box here because my presentation is on.
Yes.
You just let me know how many Y's and how many no's.
Sure.
Just ballpark figure. Okay.
Sure,
so the first question to all of you is, do you believe everybody is a salesperson right from the birth? I'm repeating my question. Do you believe everybody is a salesperson right from the birth? Give your answers on the chat box. Y for yes,
Yes,
N
I'm
for
getting
no.
it. Yes, yes, I'm getting it. I think it
Okay,
is 60%, 60% are saying yes and 40% no.
okay, okay, fine. The second question is, when I say this question, hear me out fully and then start answering. Okay? Do you believe selling is a science or art? So how do you answer this? If you believe it is science, write S. If you believe it is art, write A. Or if you believe it is both, then write B. So the answers would be either S, A, or B.
Okay, majority is both B. Okay, yes is very, very less. There are only one or two has told yes actually. Okay, and at least I can say 30% have told yeah, but 70% is B.
Great. There is no right or wrong answer for this one. It is your own understanding, your own perception. Good, great. Coming back to the first question, let me ask you another, no need to answer, just introspect. Those of you who are married and have got kids, and those of you who are not married, but think of your own childhood, okay? Those of you who are not married, think of your childhood. And those of you who are married and have got kids, think of it. Think of your kids. When you take out your kids to the market and you're walking around or enter a shop to buy something, how many times has it happened with you all that the kid would say, "Can I have this? Can I have this? Please? Can you buy me this?" Look, pointing at a particular item or a product. So depending on your mood, and for those people who are not married, and if you think of your own childhood, did you do this with your parents? Did you ask the same type of question with your parents when you were a kid? Think of it. And depending on your parents' mood or depending on your mood when you are along with your kid, or depending on the product, or depending on the way the kid is saying, think of it, 80% times were you there to purchase or buy the things to the kid, agree to the kid's request when the kid is saying, "Please, please, can I have this, please?" On the other side, how many times have you noticed somebody else's kid who's throwing up a tantrum and the mother or the father is dragging the kid away? "No, no, I told you no." Think those both scenarios. What was happening? What was the kid doing? And many times when many parents agreed to give or buy, looking at the tantrum that the kid has started there at the public area, or acceding, agreeing to what the kid is asking. What is this? What would you call this act? The kid has been able to sell or trying to sell his or her need, idea to the parents to get that thing, a product. Selling happens right there. Leave aside this kid scenario. Think of your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, father, mother, whosoever. If they have got something new in their thought process, if they want to share something or ask for something, or they want to go somewhere, what happens? When you go home, your wife says, you know, today I was feeling so tired. Can we go out and have dinner somewhere outside? Or can we order on Swiggy? So what is happening? This normal conversation that takes place in any household, it's basically selling an idea. The one person is selling an idea to the other person. If the idea is sold, the deal happens. If you agree, the food comes from Swiggy. Or you might say, why not? Why Swiggy? Let us go out. What not? So normal way also when we are sharing ideas, when we are agreeing to a particular somebody's idea that is being shared, either way, the selling is happening in office. What is happening? Think of you guys. Many of you would be manufacturers or the owners, business owners, or many of you would be the salesperson who would have the target given to you, either at the beginning of the year or the quarterly ones or the half-yearly ones. What is happening? Your target has been given based on certain performance that you would have done the previous quarter last year, the same quarter last year, or whatever the norms are being set by your organization to fix a target. Don't you, when the target is given, don't you try and negotiate with your bosses? Boss, what is this, boss? As because last year was a very good year and I had done some 40% more than my budget, you are putting the target as another 40%. As it is, we have grown 40%. You're adding more 40%, giving more 40% growth. This is not fair. Bring it to the way that you had given last year, the growth percentage. So this haggling, this negotiation for the target figures, for the revenue figures that you need to generate for the quarter or half yearly or the year. What is this? Selling. So we need to be mindful that only when we take out a product or service and pick our kit and go out in the market and meet people to do selling of our products and services is only selling. No. At each and every step of ours, somebody is selling something to somebody. Whether it is within the friends, whether it is within the family, whether it is within the colleagues or in the office, wherever. So that first question was, are we, everybody is a salesperson? Yes, we are a salesperson. If you close your eyes, think of it, yes, we are. The only thing is, why then you would ask that we are segregated as a sales community because we take some products or services to the market? Yes, we do. And more so, we focus on upskilling, we focus on learning the finer nuances of selling. when your mother used to come during your childhood days, or when you see your wife coaxing your kid, अरे बेटा ये दूध पी लो, ये दूध शहर पे अपने हेल्थ के लिए अच्छा है, it will give you good health, it will give you good growth and all that. When that happens, अच्छा ठीक है, चलो चलो बेटा, अब दूध में मैं booster मिला देती हूँ and all that. When you see that, what is happening? Or when your mother used to do it with you, what was happening? Nothing but selling. Selling the way that she was doing it, and that she has seen it, and that was coming natural to her. The point here is staying natural, staying yourself. By staying yourself, can I fine tune myself? Can I upskill myself to be able to sell a new product, new services, which is not within my family, which is not within me, that I have been seeing it from my childhood. It is a different product or services. Helping the customer, as I said in the beginning, consultant, right? Instead of calling yourself a salesperson, call yourself a consultant. So coming back to these concerns, these are the various concerns that we have. So keeping those, why I asked you these two questions, we need to keep in mind that each one of us is a salesperson. The only thing is that how is it different than others, that we are a bit more skilled and we keep on learning. And the second is both art and science is involved in it, and we will take the maximum use of it. Now, I have got two pictures here. What do you see the difference here? Now, when I ask you what do you see the difference here, just small answers would matter. What do you see the difference? You can do write it on the chat box. You can write it on the chat box. What do you see the difference? Okay. On the left-hand side, sorry, Ramesh, you were saying something?
Both before COVID and after COVID images, yeah.
Okay. Now, it is before, you are right, before COVID and after COVID images. Now, do you see any other change? That is where, as a salesperson, we need to be very, very observant. I purposely put these two pictures here. Do you see any other changes? What is your minutest of observation, the difference in these two pictures?
Neatness. Buyer increased.
Okay.
Everybody has put neatness.
Okay.
Discipline.
What discipline?
I don't know. Crowding.
Crowding. Now look at it. We are talking of COVID scenario. We are talking of challenges. We are talking of what do we do as a salesperson. Now, do you get your answer from here? Some bit. I'm not saying the whole answer. Now, on the left-hand side, the picture that you see is the normal life that we had pre-COVID, wherein everybody was doing it on a daily basis. Hence, the crowding on the right-hand side that you see was not happening. Because anybody and any time, any point in time would go and pick up the vegetables there. Because vegetables, now what I'm showing you the product here is the necessity. The product here is a necessity. We cannot do away with it. So, despite government and the various agencies giving directives of social distancing for your benefit. For your benefit, not to catch COVID. Yet what you see on the right-hand side picture is they are crowding. Sorry. Though they have taken precaution in terms of putting up a mask. But look at that, crowding, jostling with each other. What message does it give? What is that insight? That if there is the necessity and a burning necessity, people would not mind to come forward and buy the product and services. Are you getting me? If your product and service hits that particular need, which the customer cannot do away with, you would have your sale. So the question is, can we introspect and think of how can my product and service address that urge, address that immediate need, or address that need that the customers cannot do away with. Because if you look at it, today, the life is coming back to normal. Various organizations, various factories, they're opening up because economy has to grow. Economy cannot stand still. And this is the time we need to reboot ourselves and think of what is it, and each customer place, which customer has what kind of need. Have I been able to identify that exact need? Have I been able to identify that exact hunger which can be addressed my product and services? Because if you look at the scenario on the right hand side, it is the post-lockdown scenario. And this particular scenario is where the street vendors were allowed to open before Saturday, Sunday, 2 o'clock. The curfew was to begin from 2 o'clock. So everybody was there. And till Monday morning, there would not be any shops, any open vegetable vendors. Now look at it, what happened. Now, am I being able to communicate to you? This is what it is. So in this COVID scenario, what is the course correction that I need to do? First of all, this is a tool that I'm wanting to share with you is you are now conscious that there is a situation. And you are also conscious that you don't know when the situation is going to get over and come back to normal. So being conscious only does not help. Obviously, you are concerned. And that is the reason why you are present today here, hearing me out. Accepted the invite of Viswaguru to at least get some clarity. So you are concerned. So it's not only coming to Viswaguru, but it is also something to do with yourself. If you are concerned, like the ants that you saw, when you put that barrier, they are concerned. So what they would do, they either cross the barrier, climb the barrier and cross over, or they take some other direction to come back to the same place, to follow the route. So concern was there. But being concerned and being conscious does not only help. Are you committed? The question comes, how much committed are you to address it? How much committed are you to find various ways to address it? And if you are committed, if you have been able to identify what could be the possible ways, what is it that you are doing, if at all it is required, to enhance your competence? Or analyze whether you are competent enough to address it. If not, what is it that you need to do that, to enhance your competence, to upskill yourself? So this is a tool primarily which I'm sharing with you, which you can apply at any and every stage of your life where you have come across a barrier, a challenge. That is why this tool name is course correction. Okay. So when we talk of, we have identified, we have committed, and we are wanting to enhance our competence. So first of all is engaging self. Before I go on to engage customers, am I in the right state of mind? That is the topic, no? Post-COVID, how do I go forward and enhance my business or do my business? The point here is your present position. How do you plan to bounce back? What is it that you would want to do differently? These are the three primary questions. You need to put it on the paper. Meaning, you have got customers, as I said, that the lady from Mumbai who shared with me that she took out her database of customers, and from there, she made out a list. And remember, it's not a matter of 10 or 12. It can be 20, it can be only 8. But you need to be honest with you in terms of preparing that list who are very close to you, who you know that they trust you like anything. So take out that list. So your present position, that whom you can interact with, how many business, what is the business that was supposed to come to me this quarter? Say, for example, July, August, September quarter. What has happened has been washed out in April, May, June. Understandable. But July, August, September, it is not as equally bad like April, May, June. Things have started getting relaxed from July onwards. So, of course, we do have a target given to us, right? So what are we doing? Yes, we might not be able to go to the customer's place, but have we been able to engage with the customers? What is there in my funnel? Have I had a qualified prospect base already? What has happened to those qualified prospect base that I had for the first quarter, April, May, June? Have I been able to touch base with them? Have I been able to only not touch base with them in terms of business? As I stated, like the lady said, asking them about their well-being, wishing them good health, asking them to be safe. At times, you need to engage with your customers, plan that engagement on non-business front. So all this, so how do you plan? So all this would come into your planning of bouncing back. So what is it that you would want to do differently? These are the questions that you need to answer. And how do we answer? That's what I'm sharing with you. Trust. is the most valuable ingredient in any selling process, in any relationship. As you saw in the earlier slide, 60 to 70% business is on reference or referral in India. So why that? Because the sales consultants or the salesperson, whatever you call yourself, has been able to build that trust with the customers. Plain and simple. So here what you see the statement is, people like to do business with a friend. So if you have been able to build the trust, you become a friend. You need to understand, how do you gauge that whether you have the trust of the customer? You would see it when you call. Is the customer picking up? Right. Maybe the customer is in a meeting or whatever. Does the customer give you a call back? These are some indicators. Does the customer ask you or call to understand a particular decision of purchase of a particular item, which might not be in your kitty, which might not be your product line, a totally different product line? But do they give you a call to ask you, hey, Probal, would you have any idea of this product? Or can you just get me some information on this? Whom should I buy from? Moment that kind of statements or interaction happens with your customer, that's the major indicator that you have been able to build the classic trust with your customer, which is required. So now look at it from, how do we implement this? How do we practice it and bring to our daily life now in such situation? So the question is, how do I engage my customers? So keeping those 2 points in mind, make out the list. As I was sharing, that lady said, make out the list. Call them up. Ask them about the well-being. Or many of you, one thing, when each one of you are told that when you are going for selling, whether you are selling to a particular group of people or an organization where you go and sell it, or whether you are doing B2B or B2C, you have to capture the information, right? Right from B2B, you have to capture who are all involved, what are the departments, who are going to be the users and all that. The economic buyer, the technical buyer, the user buyer and all. In B2C, you would get to know the customers. You would get to understand what is it that he or she is wanting. What is the stimuli? But my point is, do you only gather that information related to your product only? Guys, do you try to gather and capture the information? When is his or her birthday? When is his or her anniversary? Many of us, it has been so many years that I am into the sales and I've been training, but most of us, I'm saying, I'm not saying all, most of us fail to capture such information. And I tell you what, those people that I have seen, I have been doing it myself. Those people I have seen capturing it, I tell you, they are very, very successful today. and they ensure with their teams that they do the same thing, and their teams are also successful. Why? As in the prior slide I stated, people like to do business with friends. Friends are those who wish you on your birthdays or anniversaries. So you want to be remembered, so you need to remember your customer. You need to remember your customers' good days if you want to be remembered. So that is where it is coming to, boiling down to. So if you are able to do it, so now when I said to that lady that what is it that you are doing? How is it that you go and engage when they respond that, okay, we are doing good, you stay and all that. So she said that, fine. What we said was, I then sent up a WhatsApp that, would it be right to engage with you? I'm talking about this lady from insurance. I'll give you an example of a person in Odisha who was interacting with miners, a mining company, wherein his chemicals were being used for the water treatment there from Nalco waters. I'll give you an example of that as well. So here with this insurance lady, what she said was that I was at a loss because every time we would go across the customer, meet them and tell them the benefits and all that. But when I started interacting with them, well-being and all that, after a week or 10 days, I would again send them on a WhatsApp that what would be the suitable time to interact with them. Would it be fine if I give them, if I made a video call? So taking permission from the customers. Now, look at it. It is not challenging only for you or us, meaning the salespeople. It's very challenging for your customers as well. They are also in doubt that how are they going to deal with this? Remember this, that they are also thinking that how am I going to buy it without seeing it? How am I going to move forward? That is also their concern. So when you're both of you coming on a virtual platform, take permission. And what she said was very valid, that I took permission. And out of the 12, believe me, sir, 8 of them said, yes. Tell me what is it? She interacted with them about the business that was supposed to come from them, and also said that if in this challenging time, if you could give me some good references. Now mind my words, please note it down. It's not just interacting with your good customers, but being very mindful and asking it very, your communication needs to be very genuine, very docile kind of a thing. But I'm not saying do beg. No, please don't. Can you, in these challenging times, I'm sure many of your friends would like to be helped with such product and services that you are buying. Can I have 5 references of your good friends? Let them give you that reference. Once they've given that, or they would say, okay, what I'll do is, I'll WhatsApp you the names and the number. I said, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your help. And before I leave, can I just request one thing, sir? Tell the customer. Would it be possible for you put in a word with your friends whose name you're going to refer to me, that I would be calling them up? I told her that she has done a masterpiece. That was a master stroke that she did. by asking the customer who has agreed to give the referral just to put in a word. And today's time, putting in a word is not very difficult. You need not call. WhatsApp. And that way, she said, sir, I have been able to achieve my 80% target of the quarter. And I have been able to line up almost like 10 to 15 new businesses, opportunities. I said, fantastic. Great. That is what I'm trying to share with you guys, because these are small, fine tweaks that they have done. She has done nothing very different. Only thing is that she accepted the challenge of not being face to face. She would have done it there also, being face to face across the table. But she did it on WhatsApp. Coming to this Orissa guy from Nalco Waters, they had lined up. There was some, I think there is something in mining, and during the month of May, that before there were some open mines, you know. So before this rain comes in, there a lot of work happens April and May. So naturally, there was a lockdown, and and he was into this chemical selling of chemicals for the water treatment over there through Nalco. Now, this thing did not happen. The business did not happen, and it is for them a huge business during this time. Once the rain starts for the open mining, it is very difficult. So what happened was, he said, I was at a loss, boss. But moment 30th April went by, and I could get in touch with the decision maker. I just again connected, hope you are fine, all that same way that she had talked of. I just found a common thing that he started off, and he said that I have been constantly in touch with them in terms of you're safe, because those are remote areas that those people are in. Those miners, the decision makers, the office, the laborers have gone. They had also moved to the nearby village where the guest house was. The decision makers, many of them could not travel back to their home because they were long distances. But this gentleman from Calcutta, he was constantly in touch with each one of the decision makers. Hope you're doing good. Tell me if I have to do anything for your family here, because some of the decision makers, they had their family back in Calcutta. If I can do something for your family, if they need any help, do not hesitate, do give me a call. So what was he trying to do? He was trying to be a normal friend that a friend would do for the other friend who's stuck somewhere outside. So my point coming, and that is how, coming back to this, and when he continued to do this with all this, all the decision makers, all the small connectivities that he had, it was not that he had ulterior motive. Of course, the motive is there for each one of us to do business. But this particular helping hand, this particular approach towards helping others should come very naturally to you. The smile, like when you smile, it should be genuine smile. When you feel to smile, when you feel like smiling, it cannot be a makeshift. When you do a makeshift smile, it is visible, it is makeshift. Similarly, when you're helping, when you're interacting, it should come across that it is a genuine help. Point here, what I'm trying to get at is, you are trying to engage with your customers in whatever possible ways, in a humane way, or being in touch with because of this challenging situation, being in touch and asking about their well-being. And in between, if you had the record of their birthdays or anniversaries, wishing them, be it challenging time or no challenging time, if you would have had a practice, you would have built a trust. You would have built. So if you have not done it, start doing it now. Ask for the recommendations, ask for the referrals, talk to those customers. Now, here, the most fearful thing what I'm seeing is with each and every sales community that I'm addressing, they are dreading this. While it comes to sales, they are dreading this face-to-face versus virtual. They are comfortable with face-to-face because they have been in practice. But my question to you is, forget about your business. Forget about your work life. Each one of us has a smartphone today. Each one of us. Guys, what are you doing with your smartphone? How are you present on the social media through Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp? You are doing that, right? You are watching videos, right? You are interacting with your friends on videos, right? You are doing video calls. So if you are doing video calls, if you are used to doing video calls, if you're used to using WhatsApp, if you're used to using Facebook on your smartphone, why can't you translate the same thing for your customers, for your customer interaction? Yes, there are certain differences. I would agree with that. Get instant feedback, like for example, getting to know the body language. Many of us, we do understand what the customer is wanting or where the customer is going, whether this is the right time to close and all that by the body language. Getting the expressions feedback. Communication is much better, what you talk about across, that is what we feel across the table. Now, less of distraction. Might be that when we are at our own location, I would have a distraction at my place, or the customer would have any distraction at his or her place. That could be the possibility in terms of virtual versus face-to-face. Now, if you look at it, distance is not a matter. Now, earlier when I talked up in the beginning, that what we were doing when we showed those two slides of January to March, and then from April onwards, there you had to plan for your travel, you had to plan for your waiting time. Look at it, the benefit that you have here. You do not have to travel. You do not have to wait. Saves on your time, saves on your cost. You can bring in, at times when you are face-to-face, you would say, a decision maker would say, "Whoa, he is not there or she is not there. She is today on leave." You know, such kind of decision. So decision would be taken later on. Let her come back from, or let him come back from leave. Now what is happening? You can connect all of them together, wherever they are. So the decision-making cycle has shortened now. So what is happening is your cost is being saved, your time is being saved. So when you save your time, you can do more work. And the decision-making cycle is shortened. You don't need to wait for somebody to come in. You can connect them wherever they are. So here, telephone etiquettes, I would not like to delve into much because this is all you know. The only thing is that certain phrases are there. We would take it up sometime later. But what we will do is we will try and get to you in terms of your managing time and how do you go about it. So when I talked about in the last slide that I shared is in the virtual world, or in this particular work from home or balancing work life. So here you need to prioritize the importance or easy tasks first. You'll do that. schedule your timing for the prospecting. When I say prospecting, you know what? It's very interesting. Good that the word has come in. Prospecting we do at times mix it with the initial stages of our fact finding. That is not actually prospecting. Schedule time for prospecting is, let me just take another five minutes of yours. I see, though I have crossed 15 minutes, let me take another 5 minutes of yours to negate or to do away with certain, myths, or I would say misunderstanding about initial fact finding. So before I go to that particular discussion, again, I would like to take a poll. When I ask you this question, then answer it in percentages. Okay. So there are two aspects to a sale. One is fact finding, that is the beginning of a selling cycle. Another is order taking, that is closing. Right? Two extreme ends of a selling cycle. I would like to ask you, what is the percentage of time that you need to use of your total selling cycle? Say a sales cycle consists of 100%. So what is the percentage of time that you need to spend on fact finding, and what is the percentage of time that you need to spend on closing? So when you write it on the chat, write F dash percentage, C dash percentage. Do that. F for fact finding and C for closing.
Somebody has given 80-20.
Okay.
To C 20. The fact 50, fact 70-30. 75-35. 60-40. 25-35. C 20. Fact 70.
Good.
Yeah. Fact is given, fact is more.
Good. I get the flavor. You are absolutely in line with what I also had and have been practicing. Everybody practices that. Fact finding is the maximum time that a person needs to use before they move forward a bit, a single inch. And closing. See, the thing is, whenever we see or we find any of our team members, or if we find ourselves also that we are using more percentage time on closing, meaning that I'm sure that we have missed out something during the fact finding. If the fact finding has been proper, the closing would be this much percentage of time, as you rightly said, 20%, or some places 25% or 15%. It's absolutely right. So that is one. Now, when we talk of fact finding, when we are in the process of fact finding, do we call them prospects? Y or N? Please post it on the chat.
Yes or no?
Yes. Y for yes and N for no. If during the fact finding, when we are in the process of fact finding, would we call them prospects?
Yes. Yes, lot of yeses. Majority is yes, 90% yes.
Or would we call them suspects?
No. There's only one suspect. Majority yes.
Now, again, I'm asking a second question, or should we call them suspect? Those people who believe that we should, instead of prospect, we should call them suspect, write that S. Anything there?
There are many people still say no.
Okay.
There are only 2 people said yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes, suspect.
Let me explain to you. This is a very different analogy. Bear with me, because these are some research work that has been done over the years, and with various salespeople across the world, and it has been named after those researches, those steps, in Palo Alto. So this is basically when I also got to know this, and I really appreciated that. Though we would say that we do fact finding, I would appreciate that when I was in Xerox. Now, the suspect word is actually come from fact finding. Now, what happens is, in a criminal case, either be it robbery or murder or whatever, what does the police do? What does the police do across the world? They create a list of, sorry?
Getting late.
Investigation, sir. Investigation. They do,
investigation. Before they get onto investigation, before they step onto investigation, they create a list of suspects. What do they call? A list of suspects. They don't call anybody, all of them as culprits. They name it as list of suspects. Now, with that list, each one of them are then evaluated. Evaluated based on what? Based on where were they, what were they doing, how are they, and all those factors that normally would happen in an investigation. Only when they are doing that, they are able to chuck out people from the list. And then they filter it down to either, if they have a list of 10, 15, 20 people, they come down to 2 or 3 or 4 people. And then they go ahead and do the next stages of investigation. Same is the case here, my dear friends. What are we doing? Where are we getting the database from? I'm not talking of those databases where we talk of as referrals, even if it is referrals. Until and unless you have evaluated those references or recommendations and convinced yourself that yes, this is actually a person who is going to buy my product or services, that would not be named as prospect or qualified as a prospect, or qualified in the police case, qualified as a possible culprit. Possible culprit, mind you. Now, when you do the fact finding, there is a filter that is always there. I'm not talking of the police now. I'm talking of taking that analogy, bringing it back to our own working area. There are filters through which we have to pass those informations and then qualify a person or a customer or an organization to be a prospect. Now, what are those filters could be? The first filter that comes in, please note it down. If you guys have a pen and pencil and pen and paper in front of you, please note it down. Thankfully, it just came to my mind. I just wanted to share it with you because this is another tool that is going to help you. The first filter would be, do I recognize that there is a need? The first filter. Do I recognize that there is a need with this person or the organization for my product or services? If it is yes, then only you go to the second filter. does the customer or the organization recognize that there is a need for the product or services which I am having? Mind you, if only the first question is yes. If it is no, the first question is no. You have to ask yourself, is there anything else that I need to find out? Because if you are not convinced that there is a need, there is no point in going to the second question and asking that does the customer identifies that yes, there is a need, or agrees, yes, I need that. And only when the second question is yes, you go to the third question. Have I been able to identify the man? Now here, the man is money, authority, and need. Have I been able to identify? Now in a B2C case, it would be a person, or it might be two people. But in an organization, B2B, it would be a group of people. It can be anybody who had been assigned, or the group who had been assigned to take the decision, to make the decision, and given a budget. Money, authority, and need. Evaluate the need. They have been given that authority. They have been assigned that task. So have I been able to identify them? Only when this question is yes, then only I go to the fourth and the last filter. Is there adequate budget for the purchases for my products or services? Now that is more important. Now, when you do that, when all these are yeses, then only you qualify a customer or an organization as a prospective buyer. There comes the prospecting thing. Because here your job has not ended, you have just begun. Because here, once you have got all the yeses, then you will take the next step. That how do I present myself? How do I present my product? Those are for some of the time. How do you go about presenting? How do you go about negotiating? Those are for some of the time. But this is what it is. Schedule your time for prospecting. That is what, do your time for analysis. Schedule your time. You're at home. You have to balance it both ways. Schedule your admin time. Now, when you are making a list, when you're going through your books, when you're going through your laptop and creating a list, this is your admin time. Zone your day, meaning the whole day that you are at home. As we saw in the third or fourth slide, that you have to also do the home chores. Make it very clear that you are sitting in that particular area of the house or your home for that particular time, X to Y, meaning either from 10 o'clock till 12 o'clock or whatever time, fixed time, to do this work. Automate, meaning you have to start doing it. Take help of your digital platform. Limit your inbox checks. Every time your pop-up comes in, I need to go and check that. Limit that, because it will disturb the work that you are doing. It will divert your attention. So you need to focus again. That is again zoning your day. You have to keep that particular day. Okay, what I'll do is I'll check my WhatsApp. I'll check my mails after I finish my admin time. Every time a pop-up comes in, I would not go and check it, because whatever I'm concentrating here, I would get diverted. And you have to be very, very mindful of telling your family members that please, during this time to this time, do not disturb me. You have to have discipline in that. But do not confuse being busy with being successful. I don't need to explain that to you. Because you guys have seen many of such cases. Many people would keep showing that they are very busy. That does not reflect on their results, do they? So keep these 7 points. These are very important points. And how to manage yourself, because this is a different time, different ball game altogether, but it is not undoable. This is very much doable, because the only thing has that changed. You have to change here, thinking that the table has shifted to virtual world. My travel time has shifted to staying at home. That's a benefit. Looking at it, the glass is half full. Instead of looking at it, the glass is half empty. Right, guys? So, any questions now?
Yeah, please. Floor is open for questions. I know it is already too late, but then yeah, we are available. There's no problem. You can shoot out your questions right away.
Ramesh, I had told you that this might take me more time, 10-15 minutes. I hope the participants have not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that you request people to open up and then ask questions. Mr. Parekh, you want to ask some question?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Say, I've already written on the
Yeah,
box
okay,
also.
okay. 1 minute.
Yeah, say, 2 questions. Say, do you feel low empathy all over the world? First question. And second question, emotional quotient versus intelligent quotient. In this present scenario, how do we utilize best? I repeat, low empathy all over the world, first question. And in this situation, emotional quotient versus intelligent quotient, how best we can use it. Thank you.
Now, when you talk of low empathy, what exactly do you mean by that?
Low empathy means people have become miser, people have become thinking about themselves only. This, even people or organization to an extent.
Okay, when you say people or organization, why do you say that people have become miser?
Because of the obvious reason, their priorities are different now.
So
their priorities are different.
Obviously, I got your point. Now, you have answered your own question here. Now, look at it, what you said, when you say low empathy. When you say low empathy and you're saying that organizations and people have become miser of obvious reasons, the priorities have changed because now people are wanting to conserve to the maximum because of the paucity of economics flowing around, the slowing down on the economics. So, would it be called miserly? Because the challenge is such that we need to conserve the maximum that we can. Because we don't know where the tunnel is ending. We are not sure about that. So we need to respect that particular scenario and try and adjust and make them see that, okay, instead of 100% conservation, because they also have to survive. As I showed you that picture in terms of the vegetable market, that is the need, the prime need for anybody to survive. Where it comes to prime need in terms of your organization, when you talk of being miserly, is there your product or services that you're dealing with, which becomes a prime need for them to run their business, to be part of the main ingredient of their business to be run, for the economics to flow? You have to understand that which of the product of yours in your kitty would become that prime need in that organization on a person. Hence, respect that and make them see it. On the emotional and intelligence quotient, it is again related to this empathy. So you have to be emotionally also charged up, not just being intelligent, but also to analyze, okay, if you have to put yourself into the customer's shoes. When we were in Gestetner, I see some colleagues of mine from Gestetner and Rico here. They would also understand the word oyakodachi, which is a Japanese word. Put yourself in the customer's shoes and then see it from their perspective. So emotional quotient, intelligence quotient is, again, you have to balance it out along with what you just now talked about, empathy, given the present scenario.
Okay. I think Mr. Ganesan has got a question. Ganesan,
Thank you. Thank you.
please go ahead, Ganesan.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes, you are audible. Please go ahead. Ganesan, go ahead.
Hello, I am speaking. Yeah, I am speaking. Sir, with respect to the current COVID situation, what is the quality that has to be developed by a salesperson so that in a post-COVID customer, when we call a customer and say that, sir, I want to meet you. So with a smiling face, the customer should accept us. So what is that main quality that the customer may be looking upon in this COVID time, from a salesperson?
Okay. Ganeshan, tell me, if this COVID was not there, what was the quality the customer was looking for in a salesperson?
Quality, I would say that, the commitment to the words which the salesperson gives to the customer.
Okay. What else?
The trust factor,
Okay. What else?
of course, the service.
Okay. Now, you talked of commitment, you talked of trust, you talked of service. How is it different in the COVID scenario? Has your product changed in the COVID scenario? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So the reliability factor of your product remains the same, right?
Right. Sir. Yeah.
So there, the trust factor is what? If you're over committing. So when you talked of in the pre-COVID scenario, the commitment is there. Commitment for what? That if I have committed to the customer that I'm going to bring the product or services to his place, to his organization on XYZ or this quantity XYZ or this particular product in this quantity, is it going to change here? Am I going to give him a less product numbers or less services? Because here, what will happen is, only thing is, you might not be going physically and meeting with the customer. As I just now shared, you might be meeting with the customer virtually, like I am presently interacting with you. If you put on your video, what would it happen? I would be able to see you and you would be able to see me. Yes or
Right.
no?
Yes, right. Yeah.
So when you are interacting with the customer and when you are seeing each other, the only difference is the table and the chair is missing in between us.
Okay. Right.
Now, when you're doing that, at times, what you are saying is that I have agreed with the customer to give a particular product or service. When your product, you are ensuring that the product, today what has happened is Amazon not delivering your products when you are putting, ordering online?
They do. Yeah, they deliver.
They deliver. Is Blue Dot not delivering the couriers?
They do. Yes.
So all the online people are delivering. What is problem with you? You can also deliver. Your products
Yeah.
can also be delivered. Only thing is that you have to ensure that if you were the person who was carrying the product, now you are letting somebody else carry the product. So what you need to ensure is that you need to package it in such a way that there is no pilferage in the product.
Right.
So what you are doing is you are building in that checkpoint. See, Ganeshan, you need to understand the primary platform of selling has not changed. Or the primary platform of, or the psychology or the emotional factor for buying has not changed.
Okay.
The scenario has changed in terms of some way, some physical aspects have changed here and there.
Right.
Now, as you pointed out, 3 qualities in terms of commitment, trust, and another one that you say,
Service.
service.
Service. Yeah.
Now, if your product, suppose you have the product has been delivered, and the product is not getting a proper service, what will happen? Did your organization arrange for the service person to be there? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
If I'm getting a washing machine delivered at my place through Amazon, for example, forget about washing machine. Now, today I am speaking with you on the broadband platform, right?
Yes.
Now, I have here Airtel broadband, which is on FTP, fiber optics. The initial stages when they came in and changed the FTP, when this lockdown happened, I knew the virtual thing is going to happen. And they were in the process of shifting from the wire, coppered wire, to the fiber optics. I took that opportunity, called them up. That was because of they were under the priority services, the telecommunication, right?
Right.
I called them up and asked them to install that fiber optics. Despite the people, social distancing with this cover and all that, I got that thing done. Why? Because I knew that if I have to interact with my clients, I would be needing the help of a broadband.
Right.
So the service of Airtel has been provided. Similarly, any other service provider, everybody was providing that. Same is the case if your product needs the service. I'm sure your organization is absolutely making it, ensuring that the service people are ready there. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So where is the question of service, or where is the question of commitment? Where is the question of trust? So you are doing all that you were doing pre-COVID. The only thing is that you are being a bit mindful of it. See, the thing is, what has happened with all of us guys, we are so very much happy to meet the customer and shake hands that we are very much being uncomfortable doing this across the camera. Do you think it would stop you from doing business?
No, it's the same. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Get connected to the customer is more important, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah.
Annamalai, Mr. Annamalai, please go ahead. Annamalai. Annamalai, there is a hand from Annamalai. Okay. Anybody else wants to ask? Any further questions?
Ravi, is Anna same Anna of ours? I see
No.
Ravi Sinha here. Ravi Sinha, you are there?
Yes, I'm there. I would not have any idea if it is the same or not.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know.
Okay. Any other questions? It's fine.
Anybody else? Any questions? Otherwise, we can. Yeah.
Yeah, sir. I have one question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
There are some typical customer who will not capture or did not capture in past. Then how can we tackle to sell our product to that respective customers?
I didn't get your answer. What you said is that you are not been able to capture, meaning what?
To sell the product. They do not want to change the product.
Okay, आपका नाम दीपक अरोरा. Fine.
Yeah.
अच्छा, मेरे को ये बताओ, आप ये बोलना चाहते हो कि ये कस्टमर के इंफॉर्मेशन पहले मैंने कैप्चर नहीं किया?
No. I want to say that if customer do not wish to use our product, if we already give the price as well as the quality, then also he do not wish to take our product. Then how can we convert his mind or his lineup to change our product?
Okay.
From competitive.
So when was that? When did that happen? When you have placed the price and the quotation and he did not agree to buy your product?
Yeah, right.
So when did that happen?
Sometime happen, and I think everybody face the same.
He says it before COVID or after COVID?
No, that is not before or after COVID. This is the general questions which I am asking you.
Okay, okay. Now, the thing is, when you had placed your, first of all, the question is, as I talked about those 4 filters, did you use those 4 filters and did you get those? Now, if you close your eyes, because now I told you the filter today, but this case that you would talk of general, that price has been given and the product details have been given and they have not purchased. What is it that you have done thereafter? The question is to you. What, or any people who faces such scenario that you have given the price quote along with the product details and the customer has not purchased your product, has gone ahead and purchased somebody else, right, Deepak?
Yeah, yeah, right.
Now, what is it that you have done thereafter?
After make the good relationship, follow up.
No, 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 no. Relationship is fine. What is it exactly did you do once your product was not purchased and somebody else's product was purchased? I want to know exactly that.
After follow up, leave that customer because he's not grabbing.
He is not.
He is not capture. He,
He is not buying. He says just छोड़ दिया ऐसे बोल रहा.
attitude customer, some attitude customer is also there. See,
अगर
he,
आपको हिंदी में कंफर्टेबल है दीपक,
no,
हिंदी
no,
में बोलो.
there is no
एटीट्यूड
problem.
एटीट्यूड में प्रॉब्लम है उस कस्टमर का. That is what you are
Yes,
saying.
yes, yes.
Now tell me one thing, sir. Do you think that you, first of all, do you think that you would get 100% of the market?
No.
Okay, first. Second is, in such scenario, our first and foremost thing is to understand why did that customer did not buy? What is it that the competition gave that I did not give
Okay.
in my products or services, for which the customer took the decision for my competition instead of mine? That's the second question. Third question, as you said, attitude. What is it that I have communicated, or how is it that I have communicated that has brought forward that attitude that you're talking about? What is it that that is there in that attitude that I cannot address and the competition addressed?
Okay.
Now, here I would bring in Ganeshans or somebody else's that who asked the question of emotional quotient. What is it?
Yeah.
What is it that I have missed out? Meaning, see, when a customer misses out, there could be many things. There could be that competition has given a better product or service. The competition had a better trust factor with the customer. I was new to the customer and did not understand the customer's need and applications 100%. I might have missed out. You need to be honest with yourself.
Okay.
And with doing this analysis only, when you get to learn the places where the gap areas are, what you will do is you would take the corrective measures and ensure the next time that you go, you cover up those gaps. Just to quickly give you one example, when I was in, I'm talking about this 1993, I was selling fax machines. I was in Jaipur. I was a territory manager there. I had gone there to set up a branch, but there was no team. I had to do sales as well as find a team, set up the whole business. But my distributor over there had done such a fantastic job earlier, but for the last 2 years, meaning starting 92 onwards, he was not doing great. And he was actually faltering. And the customer base was becoming restless. Some competition was coming in and taking over our MIF, that is machine in field. When I went there, In the month of August, mind you, I still remember, I went there in the month of July. In the month of August, 80 customers, I still remember, and the locality I remember, Johari Bazaar, I would never forget in my life. 80 customers told me, get out of my office and never come back, with the high-pitched voice. I was, for any person, getting it 80 times. It is very nerve-wracking. I don't know what you would think, but I was shattered. But believe me, guys, that was the same market where I beat the #1 product in the market, that is Modi Xerox, in 3 years' time. In flat 3 years' time, I did, because what I did was those same 3 basic questions that I asked myself. And I started doing analysis, customer by customer, whosoever had told me get out. Went back to them with a solution, apologized for what my distributor or dealer did not give them. Because it is upfront that in the customer's place, if you go and apologize and tell them that we are sorry, I'm apologizing from my distributor's side. I'll take onus, I'll take the onus and give you the best services. I'll correct the mistakes. You need to have the guts to go and say sorry, apologize. Take the onus on yourself. That mistake, yes, has been done by me. Do the proper analysis. That is what we talked about in that tool, course correction. I developed myself and then went back. It took me 3 years, yes, to get back the market, but I did. The point what I'm trying to get at is that these are the customers that would be there. But I tell you, do not put the onus on the customer. No. Because we always say customer is the king, right? But that does not mean that they would stand on our head or shoulder and dance. No, I'm not saying that. First, let us introspect and do our own course correction and see the good results. It will be there. Anything else that you want to ask, Deepak?
Shudhakar has asked, actually, please repeat 4 filters.
Okay.
Just a question only.
Okay, I'll do that. Not an issue. The first filter is, do I recognize that there is a need? Me, the salesperson, the sales consultant. If only it is yes, then only I go to the second question. Does the customer recognize that there is a need? Only when the yes is there for the first filter. And only when the second filter is yes, I go to the third filter. Have I been able to identify the man? Here the man is money, authority, or need. As I said, in B2C, it would be either a person or 2 people, but if it is an organization, it will be a group of people who have been given the task to make the decision in terms of both the budget, has been given a budget, in terms of technical issues, in terms of user issues, or whatever. Evaluating them, evaluating the product and services, and then making a decision. So have I been able to identify the man, the group of people who are going to decide? If only it is yes, then I go to the last filter, the fourth one. Is there adequate budget for my products or services? Now, when you do this, the question is, it is all yes, yes, yes. If it is no, the first question, if it is no, I go back, fact finding. Second filter, if it is no, is there any other way that I make the customer realize that there is a need? Till the time the customer realizes or identifies that there is a need, there is no point going forward. That is, these filters are given for you to save time, not just breaking head on the wall. Like breaking head on the temple. Bhagwan mere ko aashirwad de do. Bhagwan mere ko aashirwad de do. No. Being practical. Only when I go to the third question, and in there also I find no. The first two are yes. Then I need to spend time in fact finding who are those decision makers, who are those group of people. Only when it goes to yes, and the fourth one, if it is no, is there any other way that I can make them or convince them to have the adequate budget? Can they take out some other budget from some other allocation? Or if I can go and talk to the senior guy and reallocate some more funds to this particular purchase, can I do that? So evaluating all that, because when you're doing B2B, it's a very, very tricky situation and very, very complex. I hope I've got the filters right. I'm correct. You have captured it, right?
Yeah. Okay, good. Any further questions?